Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I'm Mr. Warren Hayes, and we talk about pro wrestling here. That's what we do for a living. Well, not for a living. We do it out of passion. We do it out of love. That's what we do here. Pro wrestling talk. We're going to break down a bunch of things right here on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. Thank you for watching. Leave a like. Subscribe as well. You know the drill. I also do this on audio. If you're listening to this on your favorite audio podcast, thank you. Billions. Hey, by the way, you're probably new here because there's been a real big spike in new listeners on the audio side of things. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. If you're new, if you've been listening to the last couple, I hope I've been entertaining you and earning your subscription, your membership, whatever it is you do on your like, whatever type of love that you're able to show on your favorite podcast app. I appreciate it, such as also a 5-star review on Apple Podcast, a 5-star rating on Spotify. Those things help out a great deal. It shows a little love and it's fantastic. So thank you very much in advance. Another way you can show some love is to go over and read my written articles over on voicesofwrestling.com. I type those out once in a while, and I've got a couple up there that I'm sure you'll be very interested to read about. Plus, you can also join the Mr. Warren Hayes Show Discord. By joining the Mr. Warren Hayes Show Discord, you have access to more wrestling talk with actual wrestling fans. And not just wrestling, movies, sports, food, all sorts of stuff is discussed over there. So link is in the description. Again, I'd love to welcome you there. You're more than welcome to come and join us. What else? Oh, yeah. Also, importantly, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, another way that you can show some love is by becoming a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel here on YouTube. And by doing that, you get access to the Mr. Warren Hayes Show member stream, which happens every Thursday, every Friday over lunch. And we talk more wrestling, chat a lot with the members. So it's a members only thing, but you have to become a member. So join up if you care, if you want, if you love. Love to have you. I'd love to have you on every part of my life. Not gonna lie. But tonight, as I'm recording this, as we're getting into it, of course I'm recording this on May the 9th, but we're gonna be reviewing WWE Backlash, not WrestleMania Backlash, just plain old Backlash this year. Fun little show that I'm excited to talk about. We're also going to review New Japan Pro Wrestling Dontaku 2023. We're going to preview the Best of Super Jrs, which is starting this week as well. Again, over in New Japan. More WWE talk, Collision, AEW TV. We're talking about a bunch of things. Thank you for being here. Let's go right into the weekly wrestling inspection then, Michael. WWE Backlash. How about we kick it off like that? I believe this is the lead. This is the one that, we have to start talking about. WWE Backlash, the latest PLE offering from World Wrestling Entertainment that occurred on May the 6th, 2023 from the Coliseo de Puerto Rico in San Juan, Puerto Rico. I thought, spoiler alert for, I thought that was a fun show. I thought it was a fun show, and I think it was mostly a fun show because of a red hot audience. I think it wasn't an even show, but no, I think there is more to love and to like on Backlash than the opposite. And I think that, the stuff that just connected cuckoo bananas crazy. Just hit every mark possible. The middling stuff was middling, but and there's even some stuff that was surprising. But look, I can't tell you enough. We've talked about this multiple times. Here we go again. You can't beat the red hot crowd to get you into a wrestling show. It gets you as a viewer into it, and you know what? It gets the performers into it as well. It gets the wrestlers into it as well. They'll tell you. Only the most profound weirdos will tell you, hey, the Thunderdome was so great. The Thunderdome was the best time to be in WWE. Like, only absolute dead-brained, PR-ridden weirdos will tell you that. Because the number of wrestlers that I've spoken to, they all say the same thing. The first thing is, man, the crowd was so great, it just juiced me up, gave me the energy. That's how it works. It's a business of reactions. And these were genuine reactions. And on top of it all, this is the thing. It's like on top of just having a red hot crowd, this was a crowd that didn't give a shit about what you were supposed to do or cheer for. They were hot for, if they were into something, they were into it. And they were loud and vocal and boisterous. And this, my friends, my WWE fans who are out there and listen to, the harsh criticism that I give WWE week after week. This is what it's like to have a hot crowd watching your product. Not just an audience popping up when the entrance happens and then sitting back down, singing along with Seth Rollins and then stopping. And then popping when the finisher hits. That's not what a hot crowd is. That's what we got this weekend in Puerto Rico. I promise you. Every promoter in the world wants that. Tony Khan wants that on a regular basis. Brett Lauderdale wants that on a regular basis. Everyone wants that hot of a crowd. Wrestling is supposed to make you feel. And if you're sitting there and you're being indifferent, there's a problem. There was a problem about it. This is what it is. It's a show that doesn't need piped in heat. It doesn't need Bruce Pritchard on the heat button. You don't need it. There's people who came out in that show, wrestlers, or who were backstage and they were listening. Jesus Christ. Okay, so that's what a pop sounds like. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start talking about the matches. Beautiful venue, great arena, packed to the gills. This crowd was into it. Started off with the Raw Women's title being defended. Bianca Belair defeated Io Sky, and I'm going to try and break the Io Shirai mentioning. Even though I can't get behind, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. Okay? I'm going to do my best to call her Io Sky. But anyway, this is how the match started in a fantastic match. My match of the night. I loved everything about this match, and the crowd absolutely 100% made this match better. Not because we didn't have two great wrestlers in the ring, because we did. We didn't have two duds. This wasn't, Fallon Henley and Chelsea Green. These were two absolutely talented, top-tier wrestlers. World-class stars. I was going to say world star. That's something else. And I loved how the crowd hijacked this. I love how the crowd decided to make this their own and we're like, we are cheering for the work rate girl. That's what we're doing here tonight. Why wouldn't you cheer for Io Sky? One of the best, at least, as far as I can remember, one of the best wrestlers in the world. Not just wrestlers. And I am convinced, I am 100% convinced, because I even rewatched the match. I am convinced that at some point, with the crowd being behind Io Sky as much as they were, I am convinced she called it in the ring. She called the audible in the ring and said, I'm going to work babyface here. And I'll tell you what, because Bianca seemed out of her element. She seemed out of her depth, like she didn't know what to do. Because the prescription that you are given when you go out to do a wrestling match in WWE is, this is the direction, don't deviate from it, right? But then you have Io Sky, a pro's pro, a woman who's been up and down the roads way before NXT, who has actually done the wrestling, who in any other promotion, in the world, if this were to happen, the wrestlers in the ring would be like, yeah, I think we should work heel, right? Yeah, you should. Because, not unlike that one match of, the Elite in Chicago. Remember that? Not that long ago? When they were just getting booed the hell out of the building? What'd they do? They started working heel. Same thing here. And Bianca was so awkward. From that point on, you could tell she was not comfortable. She was a little awkward. She was probably thinking, oh man, what is Vince going to say? Paul. Trips. Vince is not involved in he's not been told. But Io was just eating it up and she was getting the crowd behind her. She was the babyface in this match. And it wasn't up to a writer's room to decide. It was up to the audience. And that's what pro wrestling is. And that's what it should be. That's what it always should be. Listening to crowd reactions and giving them what they want. Everything was fine in this match. Actually, more than fine. Everything was great in this match until the finish, which I thought was dumb. I don't even understand what they were trying to do. They've been setting the seed of dissent within Damage Control, right? There was where Io and Bayley aren't getting along, right? And there's been little hints. And here, Bayley was holding on to Bianca's hair, but the referee saw her do it, and that somehow fucked up a moonsault. I don't know. I can't explain it. But what I don't understand is, why do you have all the heel faction come out to interfere only to have the babyface go over regardless? Right? If you're not telling the story of dissension, which I think is what they're doing here. But Io should won. Look, there's a couple of very questionable decisions on this show. Is this the most questionable of them? No. Is this something that's going to haunt me at night? No. Is this a more questionable decision than, having Cody lose at WrestleMania? Absolutely not. But there's a point where you have to be like, this is nonsense. Just someone in gorilla position, do your fucking job. Tell the referee to tell the girls, go to finish, Io wins. And they go to finish, Io wins. And the crowd would have gone bananas. Because the crowd wasn't happy with the finish. The crowd didn't like it. Anyway, but look, if this was a test to see, maybe if all else fails, they'll see the value in a babyface Io Shirai. Because I think this is what it's leading to, right? The dissent between Bayley and the others. Because the thing here is that, anyway, like Io was holding her own. Io had Bianca on the ropes, right? Like that's the whole, anyway. I understand. I think I understand what they were trying to do. I still didn't like the finish. And there's more and more people who are annoyed with Bianca Belair now, right? Who are like, can we move on? And this isn't necessarily a Bianca problem as much as I feel this is it's not as much a Bianca problem as it is a booking problem, because they never heat anyone up for Bianca. Like I always say, when it comes to the women's title, it's like, okay, whose turn is it? Whose turn is it to get a crack at the titles? It's never who has deserved it, who has worked for it, and it's never a question of who's been heated up properly next, because WWE never do that. They never ever do that. And in a promotion worth their salt, that's what you'd be doing. You'd have your champion defending, in this program, defending their title. Well, in the meantime, you have someone on the undercard getting heated up. The most recent wonderful example of that was Bobby Lashley, when we were coming out of pandemic and he was being set up to be a WWE champion, right? With defeating Drew McIntyre and all of that. They had Bobby be the most dominant US champion like in years, just going through everyone, losing the title in a triple threat where he didn't get pinned, And then once he got immediately moved up to the main event, you're like, yeah, this is the guy. This is the guy. And that, to me, is the last time they did that really well. Heating up a guy. You could argue Cody. But look how that turned out. We'll be talking about Cody in a bit. But then there's a problem with Bianca. Bianca doesn't have any, she doesn't have any challengers. That's the problem. Doesn't have any challengers, and and I understand, they're finally building outside of the 4 horsewomen. They're building up Rhea, they're building, Bianca's fine, but I think that part of Bianca's charm as a champion is, or at least as a main event star, a top level star, is the chase. I think that's part of her, what makes her who she is. Like Dusty Rhodes. Dusty would want to get rid of the NWA title as quickly as he could once he won it, because he knew the money was in him chasing the title as opposed to him being, a 17-time champion or a 1,000-day plus champion. There's no real money in that. Those are just weirdo accolades. Dusty understood the business, that these are all, made up records. It's all bullshit. It's all kayfabe. It doesn't matter. What matters is the money. What are you paying to see? You're paying to see Dusty Rhodes try to get back at Ric Flair because Ric Flair fucked him over again. That's what you want to see. Anywho, let's move on. Seth Rollins defeated Omos. And a match that I think everyone agrees. I think everyone is in complete agreement here. A match that over-delivered. Like there's no way that this match had any right to be as good as it was. It is, it was well-agented, I don't know, well put together, whatever you want to call it. Everyone working to each other's strengths. Seth Rollins having a fantastic wrestling brain, guiding Omos through this to, I agree, Omos's best match since he started pro wrestling. But and more importantly, on top of it all, the audience was into this. They were eating every spoonful of this match up and were asking for more. Now, the problem that we had with this match, the minute it was booked, it was a no-win situation. This was a lose-lose situation. If Seth lost, he's a geek. If Seth loses, Seth doesn't have a stellar record, and his big matches have not been all, I think everyone remembers that he decisively lost to Cody Rhodes, right? Like he's not exactly, at the tippy top of, as far as, win rates go. He's not at the top of the hill. Excuse me. He's really not up there. So if you have Seth lose to Omos, well, you go, Seth Rollins' role now is to be a geek and put over guys. Put over Cody, put over Omos. Okay. But that's not what happened. It's the opposite that happened. Seth won, and we understand why now. We'll touch on that in a bit. But Omos now is a geek. Omos never wins his big matches. And I don't understand how anyone in this company does not know how to book this guy. Because he can have as many squash matches as he wants on a week-to-week basis on Monday Night Raw. But when it's time to come up with the real competition, the Brock Lesnar's, the Seth Rollinses, he comes up short. Braun Strowman, he loses. So at this point, I don't even know who can look at this and be like, oh shit, a big Omos match. It's like, no, who cares? He's very tall. Again, who cares? Andre was very tall, but Andre was booked like a monster and did defeat the big names in. Went through just about everyone. Omos is all smoke and mirrors. You think he's a beast, you think he's a monster, but in reality, he loses every big opportunity that's handed to him. Who cares at this point? Who cares? And what's wild to me, what's even doubly wild here, is that he didn't even have an opportunity to be like a monster, right? He's already in the second quarter of Braun Strowman's career. The second quarter being the moment that Braun Strowman came out playing the cello, right? Or the straight bass. From that point on, Braun Strowman was done being a monster, throwing shit around, pushing trucks over, electrocuting people. Like, he was done with all of that. Now he's another guy on the roster. And that's what Omos is. He's another guy on the roster. He's nothing special. And he was never even special to begin with. Braun had a large, substantial moment in that company where he was pushed like a monster, like a beast, where everyone week after week was like, what is this guy going to do? And week after week, it'd just be bigger and wilder and crazier. Now, Omos didn't even have that. He had a few squashes against job guys where you're like, yeah, you know what? Chad Gable could squash that dude as well. But when it comes to getting the big moments, getting the big wins, falls flat. There's not. In the match, MVP had to help. I'm like, what are we even doing here? Is this guy a monster or not? Because he looks like a geek to me. You're booking him like a geek, so he looks like a geek. And it's triply wild. In previous it was doubling. Now triply wild. Because this is the promotion, WWE, that is supposed to be the home for the big guys, right? This is the home of the big, oversized monsters, right? This is the promotion that Vince is supposed to know what to do with these people. With these towering, enormous men. But Vince doesn't know what to do with these people anymore. He doesn't. It's insane. But I enjoyed the match. I thought it was fun. Unlike the WWE United States title triple threat match where Austin Theory retained his title, defeating Bobby Lashley and Bronson Reed. I got nothing for you on this. I got nothing. Typical WWE triple threat finish where one guy lands his finisher on another guy, and then the heel runs in to take out that guy and cover the guy who just ate the finish. And that's the new trope. Well, it's not really new, but they don't do as like they didn't do here the insufferable one guy gets thrown out of the ring for like 3 minutes while two other guys go at it. At least they didn't do that. But there's nothing here. And John Cena was right. Austin Theory's not the guy. Austin Theory's not the guy. But again, it doesn't matter if Austin Theory is not the guy. For us, for fans, for, the plebeians, the people who pay tickets and subscriptions to the Peacock to watch this stuff. It doesn't matter what we think. If the company says Austin Theory is going to be the next big thing, we're just going to have to sit back and swallow the pill. And be like, okay. Because they've done it before and they'll do it again. But this guy, he doesn't have it. He doesn't have it. He doesn't have that connection. It's going to be forced. Anyway, couldn't care less. Let's move on. WWE SmackDown Women's title. Rhea Ripley successfully defeated Captain Puerto Rico, Zelina Vega. Like, she came out like that was superhero gear that she was wearing, if we're being honest, right? It was good. Don't get me wrong. I thought she looked fantastic. Her family is ringside. She's dedicating her match to her father, God damn, that's a tongue twister. her firefighter father who died at 9/11 at Ground Zero. So, of course, she's losing the match. I don't know why you'd go so far as to mention her father's passing in, the deadliest attack, foreign attack on U.S. soil in the history of the United States of America. Something that still stings in the hearts of a lot of Americans to this day. I don't know why you consider that it is a good idea to bring that up to create some sort of hope or inspiration when this is going to be a short carry job by Rhea Ripley. It just blows my mind. Remember the last time they used the father's passing, dedicated this to the passed away father? You remember? Shotzi Blackheart versus Ronda Rousey. Remember that shit? Shotzi's dedicating this match to her father who recently passed away. Why? Are you winning? No. Then don't. Don't. Doesn't make anyone feel better. If anything, it looks exploitive. She lost. And I'm not sitting here telling you that I expected Zelina Vega to win, but tell me that you could not have taken the title off of Rhea at Puerto Rico in front of this molten crazy audience whose energy just dipped a little bit because of the previous match, but then was risen back up when Zelina came out, right? And she could have come out and pulled off an upset win, right? They could have done something real special, have that audience lose their fucking mind. And then she shows back up on Raw with the title, and Rhea goes, hey, I want a rematch. And Zelina goes, I'll do it. But then she loses. Like, who cares? What harm would this have done to Rhea Ripley? I'll tell you, none. What would have it created as far as a moment for Zelina Vega's career and for that show? An extraordinary one. I even heard, of all people, that I am going to sit here and say, I heard Bully Ray make an excellent point. If they wanted to make something out of this, they could have had Zelina Vega win the title, then go to the 9/11 memorial with the fucking belt, and have her go there, show her father's name. Her father's name is on the memorial. You just be like, because look, if you're going to exploit it, at least exploit it in a truly heartwarming manner, not something like this. If you're going to use it, not like this. Make something out of something. Not just like something that ends super flat. That everyone's like, And the match was terrible. This was the worst match of the night. Why are we doing all of this incredible family thing only to just yank it away? I mean, this is WWE's MO. I know. The hometown hero loses in their hometown. That's just how it goes. We don't create stars. We create heat. That's what we do. And we barely create moments anymore. Here's the other thing. I was talking about this company being the company that creates giants, right? That is the place for the huge wrestlers. What if this is also the company that's supposed to create moments? We make TV. We're supposed to create these moments, these memorable moments. Excuse me. They can't even do that anymore. They don't even know how to do a moment anymore. This company has lost its way in regards to pro wrestling, but it's lost its way in regards to itself as well. It doesn't even do right what we expect it to do right, what it's supposed to do right. And, but Warren, they couldn't have had her win because it would have, with the match right after, the audience would have been exhausted. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Because the street fight, regardless of how hot the match previous to that would have been, the street fight in no way, shape, or form would it have lost any level of energy. The San Juan street fight, Bad Bunny defeating Damian Priest. This was a blast. And despite it being called a street fight in Puerto Rico, where there was no blood, no one trying to gouge each other's foreheads out, this match was a blast. Bad Bunny coming out to that reaction, that, my friends, is a superstar. Not a WWE definition of a superstar. That is a true to form, textbook definition of a superstar. That was a reaction. And those are the reactions. Listen to me, my WWE fans out there. That is a reaction to someone that is over. That's not, you can tell me Austin Theory gets reactions. No, he doesn't. Nope. Yeah, my New Japan friends, you can tell me, Sanada's getting reactions. Nope. No, sir. No, ma'am. He's not. That is a pop. That is someone who is over. Tremendous match. Just good stuff. Good build. I had a fun time I had a chuckle when Bad Bunny brought down Raven's cart, his Raven's shopping cart of stuff. I had a chuckle. And then, look, this was the match designed for the crowd. Bad Bunny coming in here, Carlito Colon coming out there with undeniably the biggest reaction that man has ever had of his entire career. You're going to tell me that this Puerto Rico crowd has no idea of their history or what's going on or who these people are? I will give you a hearty fuck you after this, and I will point to this match forever in comparison as proof that they know exactly who these people are. Savio Vega coming out, building goes nuts. Just when you thought the Bad Bunny reaction, then you get Carlito Colon coming out, and then Savio Vega on top of that. Just blew everything away, blew the roof off of the entire building. The LWO is out there sporting Puerto Rico colors as well. This is what pro wrestling should feel like. This match, this is how it should feel like. We can sit through formulaic, stale Monday Night Raw matches and then clap our hands and say, yeah, you know what, that was pretty good. But a match like that, that's how you should feel. I had the same type of vibes watching this match where I was just like overwhelmed with stuff, as kind of like when I was watching Anarchy in the Arena last year, where it was just a glorious cacophony of violence and stuff happening everywhere. Here's just like things happening on top of things on top of things, and I thought it was glorious. This is how it should feel, folks. specifically my members of the WWE universe. Again, I'm begging you to take pointers here. I'm begging you to make notes. This should not be like a once in a lifetime thing where it's like, oh man, WWE should go back to Puerto Rico next year. No, WWE should be making shows that make the live audiences and you at home feel like that every fucking week. Fun. The super over babyface gets the match. Everyone is happy. Why did they not end the show with this? I have no clue. I cannot begin to fathom a proper expression in my brain that can justify the positioning of this match on this card. Mind-boggling. I was chatting with people the night before, and I was making an argument that Bad Bunny and Damian Priest should close out the show, and I was giving out all my reasons: the press release, Bad Bunny being a megastar, so on and so forth. That should have been the final match. And when we got first of our double main event, first of all, I don't give a shit about your double main event. I don't give a shit. What is the match that goes on last? That's the main event. But it's a double main event, Warren. No. And I'll tell you why it's even more bullshit to call it a double main event. Because there was a match between this match and the actual main event. Critical thinking. I'm able to think for myself. I know when things smell shitty. And this smelled shitty. This was bad. This is bad positioning, and it's bad PR, and it's compensating. It's like, no, it's a double main event, guys. Don't worry. No, it's not. It's not. As it's pointed out in the chat, the cretins, the absolute cretins in the on commentary saying that the figure four that Bad Bunny locked on during the match was a shout out to Ric Flair, who spent a lot of time in Puerto Rico. No! That's not what it... No! Nope. That's not... They were not up on their feet for Charlotte's own Ric Flair. Charlotte, North Carolina. No. And listen, I am here for this new streak of celebrity wrestlers that just seem to get it. There's something in the water. Again, maybe it's New York water, maybe it's California water, I don't know. Orlando water. A lot of talk about water tonight on the show. There's something going on with these celebrity wrestlers coming in to try out, to do the thing, and are actually good at it. Because there was a time, for a long time, that the celebrity wrestler would be a grown-tastic moment. It'd just be like someone who doesn't take it seriously. Someone who's just like, oh, look, I'm doing wrestling things. You know, it's like, these are people who are taking it. Like Logan Paul, for better or for worse, Bad Bunny. You know, we got Fukuoka-chan. Is that what she was? I can't remember her name from the All-Star show in Stardom a couple of weeks ago. These people are like, yeah, I'm going to do this because this is pretty fucking dope. Because here's the thing that we have to keep in mind in regards to Bad Bunny. WWE needs Bad Bunny more than Bad Bunny needs WWE. I'm sitting there and I'm listening to the entrance. Fuwa-chan, thank you. And I was listening to Michael Cole read off all the accolades, right? For that Bad Bunny has, right? His hits, his Billboard hits, his record sales, his Grammys, his multiple Grammys, and I'm like, why is this guy here? Why is this guy? Why is this guy in a professional wrestling ring? What is he doing here? He doesn't have to be here. He doesn't need this. WWE needs him so much more. But you can only say there's one reason why he's there, because he fucking loves it. Because he loves it. How can you not get behind that? Bad Bunny, legitimate. He's a G, in my opinion. I can get behind a guy because there is no reason for him to do this. There's no reason for him to do this. I'm willing to. Here's a Warren Hayes hot take / prediction for you. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson next WrestleMania season is going to do WrestleMania because his career has taken a slide, because he's been embroiled in bad PR and he needs some more exposure. So he needs to reanimate, the people, the base that really, really likes him. So he's doing WrestleMania next year. That's my hot take. That's my prediction. Put a pin on it. Let's talk about it next April or May or March. Moreover, March, February, when we start getting into that season, when WWE fans start talking about all the people that are supposed to come back and they're all excited to see all these old timers come back to do matches. I predict The Rock is going to do it next year because he's not in a strong enough spot anymore to be like, I don't need pro wrestling anymore. I'm Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. The minute we start hearing that he's not the biggest box office superstar in the world anymore, I promise you this is what's going to happen. But just compare this with Bad Bunny right now, who is at a peak of his career. He's doing movies on top of that. Why does he need to do this? He does it because he likes it. Good for him. Respect. I respect it. I really do. And I've listened to his music. It's not for me. It's just as simple as that. I'm not going to sit here and hate on it. I think it's well made. I think it's well produced. Sounds interesting. Kids seem to like it. People seem to like it. Good for them. Good for Benito. But as far as him being involved in pro wrestling, sure. Sure. Hey, Motown Slim is here, folks. Member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. Good to see you. Then we had the Bloodline, Jimmy and Jay Uso, along with Solo Sikoa, defeating the undisputed tag team world champions of the universe, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, accompanied by Matt Riddle. I'm going to paraphrase Suit Williams, fellow Voices of Wrestling contributor. Also, he contributes over at Figure 4 online, The Observer. Suit, I'm paraphrasing, but he wrote in his article, his review, which you should go read, by the way. Suit wraps up things much more concisely than Mr. Warren Hayes could ever do. But that's his gimmick, and I got mine. Suit says that he started off his review saying, the best storyline ever in wrestling is now a cool down match. And I like that, because that's exactly what this is. The biggest story in wrestling ever. The one that it never ends. The greatest story of all time in pro wrestling. Give them all the Emmys. Give them the Grammys on top of that. Take some away from Benito and hand them over to these chumps. Is a cool down match. Because, as we're pointing out in the chat, hard match to follow the previous one. So, yes, in a match structure, in a card structure, it makes sense to have a cool down match because you are expecting the audience to go off their gourd for the Bad Bunny thing. But then to put the main actors of the Bloodline story, this deep rivalry in a match designed to cool the audience down before to get back into the other match we really want you to get into is sad as hell. I for one, am not really surprised. Sami Zayn was a shining star in all of this because, as I've pointed out, and I will continue pointing it out, we are back to square one with the bloodline, where the Usos don't trust each other, and Roman doesn't trust the Usos, and the Usos have to prove themselves. This is a forever circle of the same fucking story over and over and over again. And this is not recent. This has been from the get-go. Once Jimmy came back and he was trying to get Jay to move away from Roman, it has been the absolute same exact story. Even when Sami was in it, it was the same story. And Sami was brought into the bloodline twice. I think they were like, yes, we're giving you your own t-shirt. Yes, you're a member of the group now. But the next Friday on Friday Night SmackDown, Sami Zayn was a center of distrust. It has always been the same fucking story. And I've had good friends, peers, listen to this show because I've been saying this for months. I've had peers reaching out to me and say, Warren, you don't get it. It's great. No, I get why it's great. Because Sami Zayn breathed in some freshness into this because of his personality. The color that he's adding to this bland as shit storyline is making it interesting. But from a story perspective, the building blocks of what makes a tale, the events that occur, it is the same shit over and over again. And look at where we're at right now. Roman hasn't been seen on TV for over a month at this point. 2 months, month and a half. And the Usos, now there's mistrust. Now Roman doesn't trust the Usos. Now Solo Sikoa now is looking on the outside. Now people are going, oh, well, here's the story. This is where we're going with this. The Usos versus Roman and Solo at SummerSlam. And I'm like, and this, you're okay with this? This is good to you? This sounds interesting? That's a good payoff? We just had a match. We just had a show. A WWE show that had a match that did exactly what it was supposed to do, that was supposed to make the crowd happy. How did anything make in this match here, in this bloodline match, how did anyone get happy about this? What was the sticking point here? And you know what? Even, I'm off of Twitter, but I hang around Discords. I got people sharing Twitter thoughts with me. A lot of the pundits, the diehard WWE influencers, how about that? Pundits that are out there and were raving about the greatness that is the bloodline story. They're turning on it now. Now you're seeing the true to form diehards going, well, it's gotten a little stale, hasn't it? It's a little boring now, right? Well, I'm ready to move on, right? That's not good storytelling then. That's not good. If this is what's happening. Now, they're not going, I'm convinced that a lot of them are not going to have the foresight to look back and say, hey, you know what? Roman should have lost. They're not going to do that because then that with them being admitting that this is that this is where we're at right now with the bloodline is symptomatic of a very bad booking decision that they were probably up at the barricades and defending, saying, Cody has to pay his dues. Cody's going to win the title in the city of brotherly love, the American Nightmare. Cody's going to win Money in the Bank and then he's going to win at SummerSlam. It's like, but that's the story. That's the story you tell. That's the story, Warren. That's the story. They're not going to start recanting that because that means they're going to have to come across as being wrong. When observably, that was a poor booking decision that has put the Bloodline storyline in the position it is right now. 2 storylines, actually. Because imagine how much more exciting this would be if Roman had lost the belts. How much more meaningful this distrust, this anger that he feels towards his family would be. Probably a little more righteous. Imagine how much more interesting that would be had he lost the belt. Imagine how much more interesting the main event would have been if Cody had the belt. Look, I'm not rehashing. There was a missed opportunity. They completely blew it. They, being WWE, completely blew the opportunity with Cody at WrestleMania. There's no 2 ways to go about it. But listen, we're coming back to where we are right now with the Bloodline story. We're right back to where we were before Sammy heated it up because it was getting stale back then. And then Sammy heated it up because it's the same story, because it was never that special to begin with. Because now the story is Solo Sikoa is the only guy Roman trusts. Is that the thing? And that's it. Next story bump is a tag team match. And I don't even understand what Matt Riddle is doing in this story. I don't understand what he's doing other than clearly annoying the hell out of Sammy and Kevin. Did you see those backstage promos that they were cutting? Like Sami Zayn looked, he's a very versatile guy. I think he can, there is he's a good actor for a pro wrestler. Like when, I'm not talking like fucking John Malkovich here. But there were expressions on his face when Riddle was cutting promos that I'm like, nah, he absolutely hates this. He doesn't want anything to do with this guy. I know they blew him off and it's part of the interactions, but I wouldn't be surprised if Sammy and Kevin don't want anything to do with Matt Riddle. Can't blame them. Don't forget, these are the 2 same guys who are like, no, we're not working KSA. I wish Sammy and Kevin could have the liberty to do something on their own. At Saudi shows, during Saudi shows when they're not there. Run a little show, whatever, I'd support that as hell. And in the main event, Cody Rhodes defeated Brock Lesnar. I enjoyed this match as much as I enjoyed just about any other Brock Lesnar match in WWE because they're laid out differently. They're just laid out differently than any other match on the card. They just always feel different. They feel special because they feel different. Because they don't follow the WWE formula. They follow a Brock Lesnar formula. Now, I mentioned it, but I want you to think of what this match could have been. How much more meaningful it could have been. How much more exciting for the live crowd it could have been if Cody had been champion. Because this was legitimately a nothing match. Again, I have no idea why this main evented. No idea why this main evented. Made no sense to me. But nonetheless, I thought this was a lot of fun. And it got to another level. When did it become something special for your boy Warren Hayes? At what moment do you believe, my dear listeners and watchers, what happened in this match that dialed it up a notch for your boy Warren? That's right, when Brock started gushing blood. I was like, oh man, now we're in Puerto Rico. Now we've got something special. Now we're in for something here. And the finish simply says to me that the geekification of Cody Rhodes continues. Oh, he won, sure. Listen, he gets a flash Monday Night Raw pin reversal from inside a Kimura that a Kimura applied by the greatest combat sports fighter of all time, and said greatest combat sports fighter of all time could not release the Kimura to avoid getting pinned. Jesus Christ. And if that's not bad enough, if we're not ending this main event on a flash pin, Cody Rhodes takes a powder. He hits the bricks. 2 chicken shit to stay in the ring. Now, between Cody coming out on the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, grabbing a microphone and saying, Roman Reigns, you were the better man last night. Good job. Or something to that effect. Between that and this, our boy Cody, 2-time TNT champion, Cody Rhodes, is a geek. Can't get the job done and looks like a geek in the meantime. They don't know what they're doing. Think about this for a second. They've cooled off another super hot guy. They have had from August 2022 to April 2023, WWE World Wrestling Entertainment had 3 super hot baby faces that they have all cooled off since. Cody Rhodes being one of them. Talk amongst yourselves who were the 2 others. But they had 3 guys that were super hot, blew every opportunity to do something important with them, and not only that, blew them off completely. They're dorks now. Cooled off. And they're doing it for the sake of these stories I keep hearing about. For the sake of these great stories. Oh, but the story isn't, but who cares? I don't care about your long-term story here. What I'm caring about is this stuff. Is a guy coming in a year ago, over a year ago at this point, with the biggest fucking entrance in the world. A guy that you had beat one of your top guys 3 times in a row in a feud where he won decisively. Seth lost that feud, on his back, staring up at the lights. That Dunzo, Cody Rhodes, better than Seth Rollins. There's no question. He gets injured, comes back as a hero, wins the Royal Rumble. People are ready for this guy. Why aren't we pulling the trigger on this guy? Oh, no. Now he feels like another guy. He feels like another one of the dudes on the roster and whose turn is going to come up eventually. At some point, it's going to be Cody's turn. It doesn't feel special anymore because eventually it will be Cody's turn. Like it's going to be Seth's turn coming up very soon. It's wild when you consider how much was put into Cody's presentation to have him now be like, oh, well, and going up against Brock Lesnar. And I understand. Brock Lesnar is he's a myth. He's the current day Andre the Giant for WWE in the sense that, he's the immovable mountain. He's the guy that everyone wants to overcome. But at some point, Cody has to continue winning these big matches and not like a fucking geek. Decisive. That's how you build stars. That's how you build top guys. There's 2 top guys in the company right now. There's 2 top guys in the company. And again, my boy Suit Williams, this is what he posited this in his review. And I'm asking this question to you, gentle members of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. Not just the members, the watchers, the listeners, the viewers. Here's the question. Would Roman Reigns have beaten Brock Lesnar like that? Would Roman Reigns, top guy of the company, would he have beaten Brock Lesnar like a geek, flash pin on a pay-per-view and hit the bricks? You know what I'm leaving that question open. You know what I feel about it. I'm sure you do. There are only 2 top guys in this company. And it's Brock and Roman. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if they run Brock and Roman again by the time we reach WrestleMania next year. I would not even be surprised in the most, I would not even be sincerely surprised. I would not, no shock at all if they did this again. And then, as if this geeking wasn't bad enough, Brock attacked Cody during his tournament match to take him out. Are we going to talk about this now? Hell yeah, we're going to talk about this. This is hell of a segue, Warren. Good job. Thank you, Warren. A couple of days ago, we have the participants for the World Heavyweight Championship tournament were announced. This is how the tournament works, in case you haven't heard by now, because fuck everything. Here's how it works. 2 triple threat matches take place on this week's Monday Night Raw and this week's Friday Night SmackDown. The winners of those 2 triple threat matches face off against each other in the main event on the same show. The winner of those 2 matches will fight off in the finals at the Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. So you heard that right. A title, I'm getting ahead of myself. The Raw wrestlers, the Raw show, by the time you're listening to this, the Raw show has already happened. We already know what happened. But the Raw wrestlers were Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Damian Priest, The Miz, Shinsuke Nakamura, Cody Rhodes. SmackDown wrestlers are Austin Theory, still currently your United States champion, AJ Styles, Bobby Lashley, Rey Mysterio, Edge, no confirmation whether it's Brood Edge or not, or Brooge, as I like to call him, and Sheamus. Now, first of all, isn't this title supposed to be a Raw title, right? It's supposed to be a Raw Championship title. That's what we were told. That's what we were told. Whoever, right? Remember? Whoever drafts Roman takes the Universal title with them, right? The Universal Undisputed Champion World title of universes, takes that with them. That's going to be on that brand. And on the other brand, they're going to get this title. Now, if Roman's on SmackDown, then by that logic, that makes the World Heavyweight Championship a Raw title. But we've got Raw and SmackDown guys fighting for it. Now, does that mean that if a SmackDown guy wins, that they get drafted to Raw? I would argue that whoever is on the Raw side of this tournament and wins is going to be the winner. I think the conclusion has already been telegraphed. I think we already know, since Seth Rollins won the qualifiers, is now in the finals. I think Seth Rollins is the guy who's winning the World Heavyweight Championship, the Ferrero Rocher belt. Second of all, where's the rush? Why are we trying to cram this into a week? What's the point? What's the emergency? Where's the fire? Where's the flame? We got 2 weeks to build this. 3 weeks before you get to the night of the Clash of the Night of the Champions. 3 weeks to build this, and we're all going to cram this into 1 week, as opposed to, letting a tournament breathe and creating anticipation and having, everyone who talks WWE, to break down their picks and have some fun with it. No, we're going to all cram this into 5 hours of programming. I don't understand why. And so now what's going to happen over the next 2 weeks? They're going to cut promos on each other from each on their brand. You're going to have Seth Rollins on one end. You're going to have whoever the fuck is going to win on the other end. AJ Styles probably. You're going to have AJ Styles on the other side, cutting promos on the guy on the other brand? Come on, Jesus fucking Christ, people. What are we even doing here? I'm telling you, this is a company that's lost its way. That has lost its way. Obscurity Knox, nice to see you, pal. Welcome to the chat. Anyway, like I said, we already know who won on Raw, and it's Cody. No, it's Seth Rollins, because Cody was about to win his qualifier, his quarterfinal main event, quarterfinal match, but he got geeked out again by Brock Lesnar, who attacked him while the referee. It's a no DQ match. Referee was like, "Well, what can you do?" And he just destroyed. Now, don't get me wrong. The visual of Brock Lesnar with the fucking gash on his head, stapled up for shit, was gorgeous, brilliant stuff. That's the kind of shit I get into. The shiner, I'm like, let's go. More of this. And I enjoy the chaos of Brock Lesnar. I do. He monkey wrenches everything. I love it. I love the chaos of Brock Lesnar in WWE. In an overall product that is stale and sterile is the word I'm looking for. So clean and precise and no room for error kind of situation. You have a guy like Brock who has just like this unpredictable visceral energy. He stands out like a sore on this show. Of course he's a highlight because everything else is so contrived. And Brock comes off as just natural and real. Everything Brock does makes sense. So he comes out and he keeps Cody from winning. Now imagine, if you will, what kind of reaction we would have got, the audience would have got, if Cody hadn't been geeked out the night before. What if he had stood triumphantly over Brock? And then you're like, fuck yeah, Brock is mad as hell. Because Brock ate the pin. Like Brock lost decisively, whichever way. Any other way than the roll-up Kimura pin bullshit. Just imagine this same situation happening, but Cody having been the undisputed victor of the night before. He can come out at the start of the show and cut the longest promo he wants and saying, my Brock Lesnar's in the rear view mirror now. Now I'm focused on like he can cut whatever he wants to try and put a winner's spin on this. That the facts are you got a flash pin and you hit the showers as soon as you got the win. You just ran. But imagine the opposite. Imagine the opposite. I would have ruled. Because then you get the double. Then you're like, hell yeah, Brock is mad as hell. He got jobbed out the night before, flat on his back. No, Brock got a little flash pin loss over him. All of this is escalating too much. Who cares? Oh, but Warren, the story is Cody's going to beat Brock in Saudi Arabia. And I'm like, do you realize how insane that is? Oh, no, but don't worry. In Saudi Arabia, come on, guys, gals on Binary Pals. Let's get real here for a second. What are we doing? Saudi Arabia has now become a thing, right? Now it's now become like to use the word, a crown jewel. Everyone's bought into it now. Now we're not like, oh, no, it's just a regular thing. It's a regular stop. No big deal. It's just, a socially backwards and non-progressive, ultra-conservative, I should say, ultra-conservative country with reductive rules and limitations for people who are not men, straight men. Don't worry about it. Saudi Arabia. Anyway. It's crazy because WWE fans have a tendency to they move their own goalposts. They want something, they don't get it. It's like, oh, but the story is this, don't you see? I've been watching this stuff for too long, and Vince McMahon, I don't put any stock into their creative. I really don't. Anyway, the consolation prize title is on its way. It's going to be crowned. It's going to be crowned at Saudi Arabia Night of Champions, and the Mr. Warren Hayes Show will continue its ongoing non-coverage of the Saudi shows. So if you want to talk about them, you want someone else to talk, you want someone to talk about them, there are plenty of other podcasts who have no issues putting over wrestling shows in Saudi Arabia. Hope everyone's having a good time. I know I am. I'm having a good time. And I would assume that the people in AEW are having a good time, the office staff, because it's been made official. AEW Dark and Dark Elevation are done. No more YouTube shows. According to the Observer newsletter last week, the story is that part of the new deal that AEW has with Warner Bros. Discovery, with the beginning of the new Saturday show, rumored to be named Collision, right, is that Warner Bros. Discovery will have the exclusive rights on all AEW shows for television. AEW has not confirmed or denied that this is the reason, but this is the speculation. So that's very interesting. That means that Warner Bros. Does 100% see value in AEW as first-run programming for them. Regardless of how many doomsayers are out there saying that AEW is in the mud and so on and so forth, the business deals that the company keeps landing over and over again will prove otherwise. Because if Warner Bros. Are like, yeah, well, we can give you a Saturday show, but we want to hang on to the rights to this. So we don't want you putting up shit over on YouTube and whatnot. And AEW goes, okay, fine. And there's a reason for that. And I would assume the reason for that, I'm assuming, is that eventually all of this nice content that WBD is going to be exclusive owners of is going to end up on Max. Don't call it HBO Max. The streaming service. I think this is a sign. I think this is something that might actually happen in this revamp of the HBO Max streaming service. Which of course would be good news for fans. There is the rumor that the Wembley show, which is now, 60,000 tickets is the target or has been hit. I've lost track. But we talked about the success of it already last week. That we were talking about the success of it after the first day of pre-sale. So who cares? This show's going to be. It's already a business success for AEW. Now it's just gravy at this point. At this point, they can do whatever they want. They haven't even announced a single fucking match. What are we doing here? I can't stress enough that ultimately it's not an AEW WWE thing. I don't give a shit. If you are a pro wrestling fan, you absolutely look at this and you're like, God damn, whether you like AEW or not, I don't care. But you can look at this and you can say to yourselves, Jesus, okay, there is an appetite for pro wrestling. There really is a demand for pro wrestling as live entertainment. It just exists. It's there. We were saying this at the beginning of the show. There, or was it still during the pre-stream? I don't remember. But when you think about it, once the Saturday show starts, there's going to be pro wrestling on every night of the week except Sunday. Sundays will be, as the Lord ordained, the day of rest. But there's going to be on Monday, pro wrestling on cable TV. Tuesday, pro wrestling on cable TV. Wednesday, same thing. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Wrestling, you can watch wrestling any day of the week on your television set in North America. And that is bonkers. I don't think there has ever been a time in the history of mankind that there has been so much pro wrestling content on TV. And nonetheless, I'm being told that only the hardcores are into this, that there is not a popular demand for this. I can't buy into that anymore. I just cannot buy into anyone who tells me this is... Yes, in the grand scheme of things, pro wrestling is still very niche. Sure. It's still a niche product. But it's niche and interesting enough to get wrestling on multiple television networks, cable and over the air, and sell out shows locally, internationally. I can't buy the hardcore discourse anymore. The hardcores are going to be more vocal, of course. The base is out there. But are you telling me that 60,000 hardcores are filling up Wembley Stadium? There's got to be, there's things that I'm not buying anymore. There were people who were telling me, for Forbidden Door 1 that, only the hardcores were gonna buy tickets and they'll never be able to fill out the United Center. Well, fuck you. And we did it this year, 12K at over 12K over in Toronto in a couple of weeks. God, I'm excited. I mean, at some point we have to stop pretending like we're this weirdo side thing that only, absolute weirdos watch. Because it's not the case. And it's not creating fringe benefits for those who are involved. AEW is making money hand over fist. WWE is making money hand over fist. What are we even doing anymore? We can't have this discourse anymore. Of just being like, the hardcores, men. No. We got to open it up a little bit. We have to stop being so reductive. Anyway, I sidetracked here because we were talking about the new show and the plans for it as in regards to the departure of Dark and Dark Elevation, which I'm sure a lot of people are going to miss, and ultimately was a good showcase for indie talent. I think it was a good place for underused talent to just work in front of live crowds and get their reps in front of TV cameras and whatnot. But I think ultimately there is a brand that is going to benefit from all of this, and that's Ring of Honor. Because Ring of Honor was pretty much structured like a Dark or a Dark Elevation, with whichever one you want to call. And I don't think it is a format that suits it. I don't think it was a format that it kind of looked like Ring of Honor looked like a red and black Dark Elevation, right? So if Ring of Honor sort of takes that mantle and becomes a place where more and more secondary talent can get some reps in, it'll be much more interesting. I think that might benefit. We'll see how this all ends up playing out, because at the same time, there's talk that Rampage could also take that role as well. You know, sort of becoming a what's the word I'm looking for? A Velocity or a Sunday Night Heat type show. You know, where then that's where you attract the hardcores. But you create 2 A shows, one being the Saturday show and one being Dynamite. But I think ultimately Ring of Honor might benefit from this. They'll also benefit from a hard brand split. But hey, speaking of roster splits, according to Dave Meltzer again in The Observer, here are the current plans for the Wednesday and Saturday shows. In fact, the updated plan, and this is Dave speaking, or writing anyway, so bear with me for the grammar. The updated plan, and this will probably blah, 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 blah. The updated plan, and this will possibly change a few times, is that there will be less of a hard roster split, as previously told, to people who do know about it. Aha! The thought is that the split will not be hard at all with the women, as they don't believe there is enough star power to do a hard split. Gee Willikers, I wonder why. Do you think it might be because you never feature your women outside of 1/4 hour? Do you think that might be the reason? Punk will be the star of Collision most weeks, but he will be on Dynamite at times when needed. Those with unresolved issues with Punk would be on Collision the week he's on Dynamite. Oh, this is a level of HR management that I am not into. This is so fucking petty. These are babies. These are babies. Ryan is in the room, so yeah, Eric can be in the room. Once Ryan leaves the room, Eric can go in. This is so stupid. The idea is to get people to resolve issues, but that hasn't happened yet, nor has there been any notable progress. It was also noted that all of this is still up in the air and being figured out in real time, and nothing is final, but this could be how it ends up happening. We get it, Dave. You're just speculating here. You're being told what you've been told. Rampage will turn into what Dark and Dark Elevation were, more to showcase younger talent. The idea right now is for Dynamite and Rampage to tape together on Wednesday nights and Collision and Ring of Honor to tape together on Saturday nights. So, I think this is interesting. Again, like Dave perpetually mentions here, this isn't necessarily the way that things are going to work out. Things can change. Maybe the Elite and CM Punk can get along. Now the issue here, we're not gonna sugarcoat this. The Elite and CM Punk, they kind of need to. They kind of need to. They kind of need to come together to work things out. Because right now, look, if there's one thing that CM Punk has done well before everyone stopped talking to journalists and all that, because Dax Harwood and sources and Dave and all that, I'm not rehashing all that. If there's one thing the CM Punk side has done well, is put the word out there that the Elite aren't talking. The Elite don't seem willing to bury the hatchet, right? That's the thing. We're talking about perceptions here. In regards to whether this is real or not, that's a whole other thing. We're talking public opinion. We're talking perceptions. The story that's going around that has been picked up by multiple people is that CM Punk, he's been willing to talk. He's ready to talk with the boys, but it's the Elite that don't want to chit chat about this. They're not interested. We haven't heard back from them. I don't know. And ultimately that could prove to do harm to the elite who have a positive public persona, right? Kenny Omega and the Bucks, I think overall are generally positively viewed by wrestling fans. There's detractors, like everyone has. But as opposed to CM Punk, where there is like a big current of negativity, there's a lot of fans who are like, oh, this guy again. There's not a lot of people who go, oh, these fuckers again. Oh, these elite guys again. There's not a lot of people who do that. But I do that. I do that. I try and sit down and try to hash things out, if only to try and get some news out there, some information that, well, they're talking. Things are thawing, right? At the very least. That could be a good thing. Not saying it has to be, an absolute, everyone's sitting around singing Kumbaya. But, yeah. I think there's that perception issue here that could come back to bite. That could come back to bite the elite in the ass if they're not careful here. So, a wibbly wobbly roster for the people. We're going to see very quick. If this is what happens, we're going to see very quickly who gets along with CM Punk and who doesn't. It's all going to be out there in public. And quite frankly, these people should all just sit around and hash this shit out, because it's going to be unbearable. The discourse is going to be unbearable. Oh, this guy is not on the weeks that CM Punk is on, so he must hate him. It's like it's going to be terrible. Now, what's going on here? We're saying breaking news from the chat. AEW's new TV deal is done, according to Ryan Frederick of Wrestling Observer. Is this on the website? We got breaking news. This is what you do. This is what you do when you're recording live. This stuff happens sometimes. At least it's good news. It's not on the Observer yet. Let's see here if I can't pull up Twitter here. Where did he talk about this? Oh, it was on the board? Oh, okay. So Ryan Frederick posted this on the Observer message boards, which is... what a contentious place that has been recently. Let's see what he says. This would be his scoop, according to Ryan Frederick of The Observer. $200 million per year, 5-year deal on Warner Bros., pay-per-views on Max, entire backlog of Dynamite, Dark Elevation, Rampage, and pay-per-views on Max. $200 million per year for 5 years. That would be, as far as I can count, that would be $1 billion deal. I'm surprised. I'm not going to lie. $200 million a year. That's $1 billion. 5-year deal on Warner Bros. Pay-per-views on Max and with the entire box. Look, I think the pay-per-views on Max, like no more Bleacher Report, BR Live. That I find hard to believe. Unless Warner Bros. Wants to do with HBO Max what a lot of people have been thinking they were going to do, that they were going to do some, doing some new tiers plus some paid content, some paid on demand, like pay-per-views, right? Which would be new. And I mean, it's a good way to drive that. 200 million per year. 200 million per year, $1 billion deal. If this is true, we're going to let the dust settle on this. There's a reason this was probably put on the boards first and foremost to begin with. But if this happens, I mean, you want to talk about a crazy ass year for AEW? Wembley Stadium, it's going to be a huge success. And then $1 billion 5-year deal. Something that World Wrestling Entertainment was unable to do for decades. $1 billion TV deal within the first... This company is not even fully 5 years old yet. That's my reaction. 5-year deal for a company that is about 4 3/4 years old. We're not even in the full 5 yet. That is nuts. If this is the case, of course, which is not necessarily the case, but it could be the case. All right. Well, let's let this breathe. Chances are we're going to talk about this again next week, and we'll probably talk about it with the members on the members only stream on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. Become a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel to be in on that discussion this Friday at lunch, or catch the video on demand afterwards. But only members. Let's get back to some wrestling reviews. We're going to head on over to the east, the west. It's the New Japan Pro Wrestling Dontaku 2023 was a wrestling show that happened this weekend as well. No, not this weekend, last week. Just the day after the Mr. Warren Hayes show. It's almost been a week. But here I am. I'm going to talk about it. We're going to recap it because it was an eventful show. Some very interesting things, some very interesting thoughts that I have as well. I think they're interesting. You'll be the judge of that. Happened on May 3rd, 2023 from Fukuoka, Japan in the Fukuoka Convention Center. And we got Apron Bump Podcast. We got the Pretty Kyle, man. We should start over for Pretty Kyle. I can do that for him. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. You're arriving right on time for New Japan, the Dontaku show. So I enjoyed this show. I thought it was good. I feel like every promotion since the beginning of the year have really been putting their best foot forward when it comes to their big shows. It's just everyone has had something to be excited about, except if you watch NXT. Other than that, the Puerto Rico show was great. I'm rehashing stuff, but it's still the same thing. WrestleMania, Wrestle Kingdom, Sakura Genesis, Revolution, Super Card of Honor. These have all been outstanding shows. All-Star, the All-Star Queendom. They've all been outstanding shows. Is Wrestling Dontaku one of them? No, not necessarily, but a good show, a show that you will be that you will be entertained by, and most importantly, is clearly setting the stage. And we've been chatting about it a little bit. We've been, nibbling at it a little. But more and more, and this was clear here, this was a show that was focused on the changing of the guard in New Japan this year. We've been seeing a few things, this all comes from an edict. I think we were talking about this like last fall, where reports were trickling out of the New Japan office saying that New Japan wanted to focus more on younger talent. They wanted to start pushing younger guys because, a lot of the top guys starting to get a little long in the tooth, except Kazuchika Okada, but, a little more broken down. Can't exactly go as hard as they could. So there was an edict put out and I was like, we got to start pushing the younger guys. We got to start getting these fresh faces out because a lot of these older guys are just that. They're getting older. Then in the meantime, Kota Ibushi disappears from New Japan. Well, I'm not rehashing that entire story, but, Ibushi sort of, that thing happens. Jay White leaves the company. Two of your top guys disappear from the company. You have Hiroshi Tanahashi, we'll talk about him, who's getting up there in age. It's a story topic for that it's been a story for many, many years at this point, for a couple of years, that, the injuries are catching up with him, but then you'd be like, yeah, no, look, he can still go. But I think the injuries are really catching up with him now. I think this is legit. Tetsuya Naito, still, one of the most over guys in the company, in all of professional wrestling in Japan, but not the Naito that we once knew, because his knees are shit. So we're at a point now where we need these new fresh faces. Gedo is trying stuff out, and he's like, "Look, we're gonna put some steam behind these fellas because these guys are not going to be able to carry all of this on their back all the time." And in a context, don't forget the context of New Japan during the pandemic really suffered. Like, they stopped operations for a while, then started running the empty arena shows, which were dismal, and then the clap crowds, and it hasn't been all that long since New Japan has started feeling like New Japan again. I would argue since Wrestle Kingdom this year is when New Japan has started to feel like its old self again, injecting a lot of new things, new factions, new faces, new people that you need to focus on, as opposed to the regular guard. We're in the midst of some very big changes in how New Japan is going to look over the next couple of years. It's happening now. I know a lot of people are looking back on a lot of things here and going, it's like when Okada, in 2012. Yes, to a degree, it's that type of switch. We'll see how things develop, who's going to get the spots and what not, but it does indeed feel like the New Japan you knew 4 years ago, 5 years ago, is not going to exist anymore. It's going to be something completely different. And you know what? It's fucking exciting. I'm not even bemoaning this because I'm excited, because I'm being thrown curveballs. I watched the show and I was shocked and surprised by multiple things. I was excited by things happening on this show. Good matches, but it's not as much the matches that got me into this show than the things that were happening in it. If that makes sense. But I enjoyed the wrestling. I enjoyed this card. And we're asking the chat here, will it have an effect on, will this show have an effect on Forbidden Door? Not this show as much as Dominion will on January 4th, which is historically, New Japan's second biggest show of the year. It's like their SummerSlam, if you may. It's the one that leads us into the G1. So it's like the last big show before we get into the G1. So Dominion is going to be the one that will have a direct impact on Forbidden Door, because there are no other big shows between Dominion and Forbidden Door, and then the G1 starts in July. There's a lot of stuff here that can happen. But look, let's go through the card. Gonna go through the multi-man matches really quickly. I thought they were all, fine. We had an 8-man tag. Hiroki Goto, Toru Yano, Yo and Yoshihashi defeated the House of Torture crew, like in a super short match. So that did me well. That was fine. United Empire, the United Empire crew of Aussie Open and Great O'Khan defeated TMDK, Mikey Nichols and Shane Hayes, along with their young boy, Kosei Fujita. The Intergalactic Jet Setters and Shota Umino defeated the United Empire team of Aaron Hanare, Francesco Kira, and TJP. I liked that one. I thought that one was a lot of fun. Set up a lot of things as well. This is a Kevin Knight safe space. Not that he needs a safe space. Kevin Knight and Jeff, we'll talk about Kevin Knight a little later. Just 5 guys as well were on this card. The trio of Doki, Taichi, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. They defeated the LIJ crew of Bushi, Shingo, and Naito. But let's move on to the matches that have a little more grit to it, have a little more oompapa, a little more stuff to it here. Starting off with the New Japan Strong Openweight title match, where Hikuleo defeated Kenta to become the New Japan Strong to become the New Japan Strong champion in a match that I didn't like as much as a lot of people. Am I just really low on Kenta these days? It could be. I feel like maybe it's me, because there's a lot of people who really like this match, thought it was very strong, and I'm having trouble with Kenta these days. I'm really having issues getting behind Kenta. And it's not like he put in some effort, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how to and Hikuleo, man, Hikuleo is he's too green still, and they book him as this monster, but he doesn't feel like a monster. I don't know. This match didn't do anything for me. Kenta tried to cheat and do all sorts of nonsense, and there were ref bumps and all that stuff. And look, I think this is something that they wanted to do with Hikuleo. Like, I think Gedo likes Hikuleo. I think he likes him. He's the guy who, he's the guy who kicked Jay White out of Japan, right? Not out of New Japan, but out of Japan. So it's something that you have to put some gas behind. You sort of have to add some gas to this fire, because he's not a chump. If he took out one of your top guys, you should be able to elevate this guy. But he feels so unfinished yet. He feels so unpolished. I was thinking in the back of my mind as I was getting my notes together, is he kind of like a Dominic for New Japan? Well, I don't want to be that severe, because Hikuleo does get pro wrestling. He understands how to carry himself. Like there's a lot of things that he has been imparted from by his brothers. He has certain natural affinities with pro wrestling that Dominic doesn't even understand yet. Despite all this time that he spent in the biggest fucking wrestling company in the world, he still looks like a chump. I think the problem that Hikuleo is that he hasn't found his identity yet. He hasn't locked in his presence. We know he's big. We know he's supposed to be a monster. We know he'll probably won't be the work rate specialist that exists in multiple areas in New Japan. But at the same time, he's not a credible monster yet, if any of that makes sense. Anyway, to be expected. I'm not surprised by this result. Then we had Zack Sabre Jr. retaining the New Japan World Television title against Jeff Cobb. We finally got the first time limit draw, the first 15-minute time limit draw for the New Japan title, and just outstanding stuff. I love this match. I thought this was great. And I you know, what I enjoyed about it was we both had these two guys trying to apply their game plan, their typical game plan, but finding natural counters to what they were trying to do. So, you know, Cobb would do his best to use his power game. He used it, you know, early on to really get the best of Sabre. But Zack then started using his submissions, his counter moves to the big moves as he started to feel out what Cobb was doing. Like he maneuvered out of a superplex into a top rope Cobra twist at some point, which was fantastic. I was like, just great stuff. But you know, we got Cobb landing spin cycles and, you know, a gut wrench superplex and all sorts of fantastic stuff happening. But we were clearly going down a path of, well, not clearly, but we went down the path of we're going to reach the time limit. Neither of these guys were able to get it into the next gear because this was not the story of the match. This was like, we are evenly matched on this field of battle. We're going to have to do this again because both guys after the match were very disappointed with the outcome. They were both mad. So I think this was all purposeful. I think this was all to say, we've got another one of these big matches in the chamber and we're probably going to get it at Dominion. And you know what? I'm excited about it because this match was great. And I think whatever they pull out at Dominion is going to be even better. And they're going to come in with it. Both guys are going to come in with clear game plans. A lot of counter. I think Sabre is going to focus on counter moves, whereas Cobb is going to be like, I have to take this guy out as soon as possible. The more this stretches on, it works to my disadvantage. No, I'm excited. I like this. I'm glad that the 15-minute time limit finally got in, and Zack Sabre Jr. continues to be a top miracle worker for this belt. He's the workhorse of New Japan right now. There's no question. He's been fantastic. I know this belt was meant to be defended by, you know, young up-and-comers. But this belt feels important, feels like a challenge, feels like a prize. That's on Zack's credit. I liked it. I really thought this match was great. I enjoyed it tremendously. Then we had the never open weight 6-man tag team titles that were on the line, where the Chaos Group duo of Kazuchika Okada and Tomohiro Ishii teamed up with the ace of the universe, Hiroshi Tanahashi, to defeat champions El Desperado, Ren Narita, and Minoru Suzuki, also known as Strong Style. So they are your new 6-man tag team title champions. as commentary pointed out, this is the first time Kazuchika Okada has won this title. I think they were saying this is the first time he has ever won a title with a team. Isn't that interesting? You know what? This match was pretty good. I thought this was pretty good. And look at this. Look at this thing. Look at this setup here. Kazuchika Okada and Hiroshi Tanahashi and Tomohiro Ishii, but Ishii's been in these positions before, but specifically, two top guys, Okada, Tana, who defined the previous decade of New Japan professional wrestling, who were at the very core of its highest successes, of its greatest moments. They're not in the main event. They're not vying for big-time singles titles. They're in a 6-man tag match for the never open weight belts. And I get it. I'm not going here as a what the fuck is Gedo doing? No, there's a lot of stuff to explain this. But look at this. If you keep Tana and Okada out of the top title picture, then it allows very easily Gedo to do all sorts of goofy shit on the side. Then he can try out whatever he wants. And you know what? Not gonna lie, Okada without a title certainly starts making dream matches for Forbidden Door a lot more feasible, right? I'm just saying. Suzuki in this match, he worked over Tanahashi's broken ribs, while Tanahashi and Ishii had issues with each other throughout the match as well. A good little final stretch with Narita and Okada. And this is something, right? The story of this goes back weeks now, right? I can't remember when specifically, but Narita was challenging Okada. He was mad that Okada pinned him in a tag team match in an undercard show on a Road 2 show somewhere. So this is where it all comes from. So Narita wanted his exchange with Okada, and he did good, fun little stretch at the end. But Narita could not escape a Rainmaker. What do you want from me? And I you know what's great here is that we're still continuing down this path of irate Okada. That this all started off. He's pissed off at the kids, at the young'uns, at these upstarts who seem to be coming for his spot. He's kind of pissed off at them, right? He shoves Narita out of the ring, and then Shota Umino comes out after the match to sort of challenge Okada, Tanahashi, all these guys, and they're like, and that announces that Jon Moxley is going to be at Dominion on June the 4th, and this all started with Kaito Kiyomiya. This all started with the Noah stuff, with Kiyomiya trying to best Okada, and Okada got really pissy and really pissed off and irate. And Okada's like, who are all these punk kids? Who are all these little punks coming for me? He's shoving Narita, who's knocked out after the Rainmaker, shoving him out with his foot. Umino's coming out and is like, oh, you've got your babysitter coming for you, talking about Mox, right? He's got your babysitter coming back. I love this. I love this irate, grumpy curmudgeon, Kazuchika Okada, he's just been in a foul mood for months now. Ever since all this build up for the Muto show. He's just been bitter and angry. I love this. And this is a story that could carry New Japan for years at this point, right? The established upper crust of guys from the 2010s, like I said, the helping New Japan reach unprecedented heights of success. They're all seeing that their time might be coming up because all these new guys are coming up for them, Okada right now setting himself up to be the final boss again. God damn, I'm into it. I think this is great. Good little match too on top of that. I enjoyed it. Never Openweight Championship title was next. David Finlay defeated Tama Tonga to become the new Never champion, excuse me. I thought this match was good, but I feel a lot of people liked it better than I did. Again, I enjoyed it. I think Dave gave it 4.25 stars. I wouldn't have gone that high. I'll tell you what this match did, though. I'll tell you what this match did, and did it for me, is making Dave Finlay a killer. Got him a couple of weeks ago cutting promos on the American show saying, you know, his vision of his new Bullet Club is not going to be about pretty boys selling t-shirts. I want killers. Savages was the word he was using. My Bullet Club is going to be a Bullet Club of savages. That's why he kicked out El Fantasma, right? He doesn't fit in here. So he's recruiting savages. He says, I'm going to be a savage. He's going to be a killer. And this is what he did in this match here. The match was fine. Not a bad match by any stretch of the imagination. I think, people crowing at it, saying, oh, this is some fantastic top tier match. I wouldn't say that. But what happened in it? So, the killer instinct kicked in. He gave Tama Tonga a chance to submit. He didn't. He gave Jado a chance to throw in the towel for Tama Tonga. Jado didn't do it either. So our boy here, Dave, was like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to beat this dude up until he's dead. And that's exactly what he did. Just pummeled at him, hit his finisher over and over and over again. 3 times. What did he into oblivion? I still like Trash Panda better. Anyway. He has Tama Tonga doing a fucking stretcher job. And Tama Tonga, for all intents and purposes, has been written off TV. This was my favorite Bullet Club era performance out of Dave Finlay, because now I feel we're starting to scooch over onto the killer side of things. And I think Dave Finlay is starting to feel it a little more. He's been embracing his new role, but I think he's not digging his claws into it yet. He's not, like, he has the kill, he made the kill, but he's not digging into the meat and tearing it apart, rendering meat and sinew from bone kind of thing. We're not quite there yet. But this is a hell of a great step in the right direction. This was my favorite, like I said, my favorite Bullet Club performance of his. Dave Finlay can have great, spectacular matches because he's had them. He's had them in the G1. He had them in the New Japan Cup. And as far as Bullet Club leader, as of taking control and being like, yeah, you know what? No nonsense. I'm all about the violence. We are on a great track. I thought this ruled. Match, fine, entertaining, good, but the story that was coming out of this with Finlay puts it over the top for me. It's a good watch. Again, we're not just going down the same motions of Bullet Club. We're trying to refresh Bullet Club in the meantime. So it's not just Dave Finlay. It's not just the character, the persona of Dave Finlay, pro wrestler, that we are trying to make into something different. Gato is going for the full Monty here. We're going for, Bullet Club as a whole needs a refresher. We have to stop thinking of Bullet Club in terms of Kenny Omega and AJ Styles, and even Jay White at this point. We're getting rid of most of what made Bullet Club, if that makes sense. And we're going to try out something new. And I think we're going to get a big development at Dominion. That's just a gut feeling. I got nothing to go on outside of just instinct. And now, of course, with Tama Tonga doing the stretcher job, people are like, oh, he might be going to WWE. There were reports, he has been working without a contract, which really isn't all that surprising. There are a lot of guys in Japan who work without a contract. A lot. So it's like, WWE has interest in Tama Tonga. Of course they should. Why wouldn't they have interest in Tama Tonga? What are we doing? What are we talking about? it's like, it's like people, I saw a report. It's like, we asked, Marufuji from Noah, right? Would you be interested in wrestling for AEW at Wembley Stadium? And Marufuji said, yeah, I'd be interested. Who wouldn't be interested to wrestle in front of 60,000, 70,000 people? What the fuck? Like, what kind of... So, these things, these reports that come out where it's like, oh, WWE is interested in Tama Tonga. I'm like, well, yes, of course. He's a seasoned veteran pro wrestler. He's an international name. Might not be, he's not a main eventer. He's not an upper tier guy. But if you want someone to fill out the ranks, on someone who can, a solid, competent, energetic worker who can still go, can work your mid card wonderfully, he's your guy. What are you doing? It's weird sometimes when we get into wrestling reporting. Marufuji, would you be interested? Yes, I would. He'd be interested in working. Ask any wrestler. Hey, would you be interested in working in front of a 70,000 person crowd? Yeah. They'd all say yes. What wrestler's going to say no? Because not only working in front of 70,000 people, the paycheck along with that's going to be pretty nifty. Come on now. Like, I understand the nature of the business, but at some point, of reports and the scoop game and whatnot, I completely understand it. And however you want to make your money is absolutely fine. I don't take umbrage with that. But as a wrestling consumer, if you consume that type of news, which I do, I'm not trying to say that I'm above it. I absolutely do. When you consume that type of news, you still have to have some kind of objectivity. That's also media awareness, where you're like, WWE says they have interest in Tama Tonga. I'm like, as they should. WWE has interest in Kota Ibushi, as they should. It's like, these are yes. They should. It's not surprising. It's not news. Just like saying, oh, this wrestler would like to work for AEW. There's a lot of wrestlers who'd like to work with AEW. Anyway, going off track here. After the match, El Fantasma shows up in a mask, in a hoodie, and attacks David Finlay. Here we go, folks. How long have we been talking about El Fantasma being a big thing in New Japan? Been telling you, wait till he graduates, wait till he gets into the heavyweights. Last year I told y'all, when he was in the G1, I said, this is it. No turning back. They've got plans for this guy. He's going to be a big time babyface. He's going to be a big time regardless. Now they're going to babyface him, and what a natural babyface he's been, interacting with the crowds and all of that. Like, not even Tanahashi interacts with the crowds as much anymore. They got ELP doing this now. This guy is going to get over like crazy. You want a guy that Gedo is he's going to build very, very gently on a slow simmer. When this guy is ready to cook on the main event level, you're going to look back and be like, oh, Warren was right. And I'll take another victory lap. It's fine. I'll have my cardio ready. I'll be ready to go. But this is it. I'm telling you. And they're pushing him as a babyface. He'll be unstoppable. This is going to be excellent. And finally, we had the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship title match. Sanada defeated Hiromu Takahashi to retain the title. And if I'm not mistaken, the only successful title defense of the night. Yeah. There was Zack Sabre Jr., but that went to a draw. Okay. Not the only successful. Look, I thought this match was great. I got to tell you, I don't see the big crowd reactions for Sanada yet. I didn't see them at Collision. the collision in the Capitol collision, the collision in Philadelphia. And I didn't hear them here. And we're going to go a step forward, a step above. The reaction for Hiromu, though, that was big. That was big. So I don't know. I look. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, the Sonata experiment has failed. We are literally in the opening stages. Literally. That's bad faith. I can't sit here and say that. But I will say right now, I don't think the Japanese crowds are buying him as a top guy yet. Because Hiromu absolutely had the biggest reactions in that match. The crowd, the minute the bell rang, and you had the two guys in the middle of the ring, which is usually a spot in the main event that allows the audience to start cheering, right? That's part of the setup. They were all cheering for Hiromu. They were all cheering for Hiromu to the point that commentary had to acknowledge it. Oh, there's 20% out there for Sonata. Really? 20%, huh? Okay. And I wonder what kind of reactions this match would have gotten with a lesser opponent than Hiromu, who is a crowd favorite already. He's already over. He's in LIJ, which is the most over faction in all of pro wrestling in Japan. And people keep telling me how much LIJ merch you see in the streets. Look, it's interesting. I think it's again, I'm not trying to bury this. I'm not trying to bury Sonata at all. But I've been consistent so far in saying Sonata's an interesting candidate. I'm not into it because I don't want to say never, but I haven't been into Sonata for a while. And while I find he's tightened his game up in the ring, I like that he's moved, he's extended his moveset. A lot of more interesting things that he does, a little more explosiveness. I like the addition of the Shining Wizard as a more consistent part of his inventory. For instance, I always like the way he does the moonsault. I think those are all net benefits to the main event Five Guys Sonata. But I'm not quite there yet. He hasn't won me over. And if anything, between this match and when he won against Okada, Sonata will never be the 5-star match pumping machine that we have become so used to in New Japan under guys like Okada and Tanahashi and Naito and Ospreay. He's not that guy. He's going to have solid matches. They're not going to be, high risk, high velocity matches. They're going to be solid affairs like this one here that are far from boring, but are not going to be, like I said, the sprawling epics. I don't think he has it in him. Then again, I could be wrong. All it could take is Taichi once again giving him a pep talk, and here we go. But the match, like I said, I thought it was very good. I thought it was a great match. Very good main event. And I think it ended at a perfect moment. 27 minutes, 30 seconds I feel like if we had started to go over 30 minutes, I think it would have been a detriment to the match. I think it was well paced. I think it was well put together, and the guys really performed well. Hiromu's fantastic, he lands both of his time bombs, time bomb 1, time bomb 2. But the heavyweight champion's not fallen to some junior heavyweight finisher, right? So Sanada plasters Tanahashi as not Tanahashi, Takashi, Hiromu Takahashi. There we go. Holy shit. Hiromu Takahashi, as the LIJ member, tries to light it up with some speed. He goes for the time bomb 2.5, which we really don't see all that often. Sanada escapes out of it. Skull End follows, and a moonsault. Hiromu even tries the Hiromu roll. Can't get it done. Shining Wizard, deadfall by Sanada for the win. I thought it was a good match. I thought it was very good, actually. And Hiromu is the glue of LIJ. And I was thinking about this after, because commentary had pointed it out, and he being Hiromu was the first guy to challenge Evil when Evil betrayed LIJ. The difference between Sanada and LIJ, Sanada and Evil, when they both left LIJ now, Evil attacked Naito, blindsided him, went full on heel, whereas Sanada was like, "Oh guys, I'll leave my membership card in the locker room. You can pick it up on the way out," kind of thing. You just left. So, but Hiromu nonetheless was the first guy out the gate to be like, "Hey, motherfucker, you let us down." He did it with Evil, and he did it with Sanada as well. And it made me realize this guy's the glue of LIJ. Naito's the star, but the essence, the vibe, the beating heart of this group is Hiromu Takahashi. And I tried to imagine an LIJ without him, and it doesn't work. It just does not. It doesn't jive. What if that were to happen, where Hiromu left or was kicked out of LIJ, it's not LIJ anymore. It's something else. But Hiromu is that center. He's the glue of that group. You get rid of Hiromu, everything falls apart. Because he's the guy. He's the first guy to stand up for his buddies. All piss and vinegar, and he's like, "Sanada, you son of a bitch, you turned your back on us. I'm going to teach you a lesson. I'm going to steal that title away from you." So after the match, your boy Warren is sitting there, and he's got his pen, he's got his notepad, and he's writing down notes, and he's like, after the match, and then I'm ready to write, Tetsuya Naito comes to the ring to challenge Sanada for the... And the least probable thing, the thing that I don't care who you are, no one saw coming. If you have the balls to tell me you saw that Yuta Tsuji was going to come and challenge Sanada for the World Heavyweight Championship, that you predicted it, you better have a photograph of you, a video of you writing that prediction down on a sheet of paper while holding up the day's newspaper next to it. I don't believe you. No one saw this coming. Huge. Yuta Tsuji comes to the ring. He's the guy that they've been hyping up with the meteor impacting Japan and the dinosaur. All that great, apocalyptic stock video that they put together for him. Guys even had a dinosaur in there for some reason. He comes out and he lays out all of the Just 5 guys. They're all there. He takes them all out. Taka, Uncle Nobu, Taichi, Dookie, and the world champ. Spears the shit out of him in a great looking spear. I hate spears, but that was a good one. And he stands, Tsuji, triumphantly over the fallen body of the world heavyweight champion Sanada. He's got a foot on his chest. He has the belt in one hand, raised above his head. What I was talking about, yes, it's better than Goldberg's. What are we doing here? When I started talking about this and I was telling you about new guys and how we were witnessing right now the new Japan Pro Wrestling being formed, the guys that you have to get into, the guys that Gedo is saying, these are the fellas that you have to get behind. You can't have a clearer marker than this. Tsuji has been on excursion, been doing the CMLL, been doing the Rev Pro, and he's back. And the minute he steps foot back into his home promotion, he's challenging the world champion. And this guy looks like $1 million. I am watching him come out in his gear. This guy's got the look. He's got the stature. He takes off his gear to beat up the dudes. He's all dressed in black, a t-shirt, black jeans. He's got the biggest smile on his face. There is a picture of him spearing Sanada, and he has a smile connected from ear to ear. This guy's got charisma. I was looking at this dude and I was like, I can get behind this guy. I want to get behind this guy. Make it happen. And this, we were talking about Hikuleo earlier. You want to book a monster? You want to book a guy who's going to take out everyone on the roster? I believe this guy can do it. Huge is going to do it. I don't mind this. I enjoy this. I dig this. New Japan, baby. Apero is back. All this shit rules. We're getting into a new era. It's happening right before our eyes. We've got Gedo, who is saying, I'm trying stuff out. These are the guys that I want moving forward. These are my next champions. These are my next top guys. How could you not be excited about this? And the old guys are all fine. They're all doing other shit. Don't worry. They're all fine. The G1's coming up. They're all fine. But instead of sitting on these laurels, instead of sitting on his laurels and just continuously pushing the same guys over and over again, it's like, no, it's time to make new stars. The edict has been put out and we are going into it. Now we're leaning hard into it. We've got Yuta Tsuji. We've got Shota Umino. We've got Ren Narita. All these new... And you know, we can go down the road. We're going to talk about the best Super Juniors in a second here. We've got, guys down there as well. We've got Aussie Open, who are being established as a top tag team. We've got new factions that are establishing themselves. TMDK, United Empire has never been as fun as they are now. They've always been good, but it's been an upward trajectory. Bullet Club's getting a facelift. New Japan, man, it feels fresh. It feels dynamic. There's new things coming. Now, is all of this going to be successful? I don't know. Like at this point, I have no idea what to expect out of the main event at Dominion on June 4th when Sanada and Tsuji go at it in the main event. I don't know. But I'll be goddamned if I'm not going to watch the show and lap up every single minute of it. I'm stoked for this. Plus, here's the thing. We have our boy Suge here, Huge Suge, who's in the ring. He beats everyone up. he's towering, because he's a tall guy. He's towering over Sonata, and he does the LIJ chest fist bump thing. Crowd goes nuts, but no one says, oh shit, he's joined LIJ. We don't have, Hiromu and Naito come out to welcome him in and high fives with Bushi and do the fist bump. So we've even got that little piece of business. And then there was a backstage thing where he carried Hiromu away on his shoulder. Like, what's going on? Basic, simple things. I'm a simple man. It doesn't take much for me to enjoy things. Just keep it simple, make it make sense. Everything is connecting here. I've got question marks. I want to see where all of this is taking us. But I'm going to tell you, I'm excited for New Japan. I've been excited since Wrestle Kingdom. I think Apero in general is in a great place right now. It's super exciting. But New Japan in particular, I'm excited for the G1 this year. And I'm excited for the Best of Super Juniors, which is going to be debuting the tournament number 30 very shortly. In fact, on April 27, I wanted to talk about it last week, but we ran out of time. And technically, we're running out of time here, or I'm running long, whatever way you want to look at it. But I got to talk about it because the tournament begins this week. But we've known the field for a couple of weeks. On April 27, New Japan announced the field of participants for this year's Best of Super Juniors tournament. It's, of course, the annual round-robin tournament to determine the number one contender for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. Last year's tournament, by the way, was a highlight of New Japan. It was a highlight of the company, and in retrospect, it was a lot lighter and fun to follow than the 4-block 28-man ordeal that was the G1 last year. And I covered the G1, and I'll probably be doing it again this year, right? I covered it daily, and I'll probably be doing that again this year, or every 2 days, regardless. I gave you complete coverage of the G1, and I'm going to do it again this year. But in regards to the Best of Super Juniors, it was a great showing. It was a great event because travel restrictions had been lifted. People were able to go back to Japan, so it was a great showing of things starting to thaw for Japanese pro wrestling. People traveling, having exciting international tournaments again. That was cool, right? Because we got a lot of North Americans that were in the tournament last year. And this year, the field is fantastic, and it's an entirely different type of composition, right? But just before we get to that specifically, let's run down the details. Starts on May 12th, so in a couple of days. This little from the moment I'm recording this on May 9th. So just in a couple of days, Korakuen Hall in Tokyo will kick this off with the top winners of each block facing the second seed or the second place of the opposite block on May 26th. And the winners of those two finals will then face each other on May 28th as we circle back to Tokyo at the Ota City General Gymnasium to wrap it all up. And I would assume then that the winner of the Best of Super Juniors will face Hiromu. Well, yeah, it will be Hiromu Takahashi. We'll be facing Hiromu Takahashi at Dominion then. I'm assuming. I could be wrong. So, full round-robin tournament in 2 weeks. Right? Starting this week on the 12th, finishing on the 28th. So speedy, quick tournament, probably quick, lightning fast matches, just like the juniors themselves. I'm excited about this. So the field goes like this. In A block, we have Kushida, Taguchi, Lio Rush, Doki, Hiromu Takahashi, Titan, TJP, Taiji Ishimori, Sho, and Speedball Mike Bailey. And in Block B, we have El Desperado, Yo, Master Wato, Kevin Knight, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, Bushi, Robbie Eagles, Francesco Akira, Dan Maloney, and Clark Connors. That's a good tournament. Those are some good fields. That's good stuff. Those are good blocks. I look at this, and I'm not going to lie, I got a little preference for Block A. A lot of good stuff in there. Let's talk about it a little more. Absent from the tournament this year is, first of all, El Fantasmo. But of course, he graduated to the heavyweight division after Best of Super Juniors last year. He's the only New Japan guy not returning in the tournament, by the way. Also missing this year are Ace Austin, Wheeler Yuta, Alex Zane, and L. Lindemann. Where is the AEW representation? I hear you scream. I will ask you, who cares? I couldn't care less. And I will even push this forward to you. I'll one up you on this one. And leave a comment. Write to me. Jump in the Discord. Who do you want from AEW in this tournament? When you look at this field here, who do you put in here? Jungle Boy, Guevara, Darby, they're all busy right now. They're all in stuff. Who's a junior 225 from New Japan, from AEW, that you're like, yeah, I want him in here? Is Bryan Danielson junior? Yeah, I don't care. I don't know how much how much how much he weighs. You don't want Bryan Danielson to be slotted as a junior. You just don't. Dan Garcia, maybe, but then again, I don't know. I think this field is perfectly fine. Actually, quite good, even if we don't have AEW guys in there. Even if, and there's always a bit of there's always, and I've heard people say, well, Darius Martin, right? Can Darius keep up with these guys? I would assume a guy like Dan Garcia probably could. That's an uneducated, that's an uneducated opinion that I'm throwing out there. I guess from what we know of him, he should absolutely be able. Can Darius Martin keep up with these guys? I don't know. This is a grueling tournament. Not much time to rest. There's no rest periods here, really. So no, I'm completely fine. And between us all, just between us, Wheeler last year in the Best of Super Juniors was fine, but, didn't tear the house down or anything. I kind of expected more from him. Anyway, making their appearance for the first time in the tournament this year, Lio Rush, Kevin Knight, Dan Maloney, and Mike Bailey. And I think Mike Bailey is the one that has attracted the most attention, at least from North American fans. Mr. WrestleMania weekend. Absolutely fantastic. I am very stoked to see Mike Bailey in this environment. He is an he is an absolutely outstanding pro wrestler, and he has more than deserved a spot in this year's show. And he's representing Impact Wrestling, despite the fact that he's worked New Japan of America shows, but he's representing Impact on this. That's going to be exciting. Kevin Knight is going to be in his first tournament as well. He, of course, is one half of the Intergalactic Jet Setters, along with Kushida, who is his tag team partner. They're both in separate blocks. We've also have Leo Rush as well, which is good stuff. I'm going to talk about him in a bit as well. And Dan Maloney, a standout in Rev Pro, member of the United Empire, so he got his in there. If anyone had been paying attention to Rev Pro, this was kind of written on the wall that he was going to be a part of this tournament. It was pretty clear that Ospreay would be pushing hard for him to be in it, and he's in the tournament here. Kushida will return to the Best of Super Juniors for the first time in 5 years. He is a two-time winner of the tournament, 2015, 2016. Speaking of winners, Hiromu Takahashi will be looking for his 5th overall win of the tournament and his 4th consecutive. If he wins this year, he will four-peat the tournament. Ryusuke Taguchi has been entered in this tournament again this year, for better for worse, making it his 18th straight appearance, his 20th overall. We got some few thoughts here going in. We've got Mike Bailey and Hiromu on night 1. Now, I think this is going to be a crucial match from the get-go. I think this is something that is going to set the pace. Ghetto's booking sometimes eludes me. Sometimes. And sometimes I'm like, okay, I get it. And Ghetto likes to give the first night big surprises. You know, where you think the top guy is going to win, the favorite's going to win, but no, there's, like Aaron Hanare in the G1 last year. It's a good recent example. You think that on night 1, oh, this guy's going to lose. No, not in this case here. If Mike Bailey, but here's where I want to go with this. So it would make sense for Bailey to win on night 1. They're opening up the tournament, and that's the main event of night 1, Hiromu versus Bailey. If Bailey wins, which I think there is a fair chance that he will, I think this spells doom for Hiromu's tournament. I think Mike Bailey, if he wins on night 1, is going to go on a stretch of victories, again, which is a Ghetto booking trope, to sort of lose the last few, to not make him necessarily a contender in the last few matches, but to have spoiled enough key people to keep them out of the conversation at the end. So I think Mike Bailey winning against Hiromu is going to spell disaster for Hiromu in the tournament. I think that Hiromu's going to have a good tournament, but I'm not even sure he reaches his block finals. Talk about that in a minute. I think, au contraire, Taiji Ishimori has a very good chance of making it far. Dare I even say winning the whole shebang. Don't forget, our boy Taiji Ishimori did not lose the junior title at Wrestle Kingdom. Or he didn't get pinned for it, I should say. He lost it, but he didn't get pinned in his loss. So that's significant. And it turns out this year he's only had one other match so far, Master Wato, and he won that. I like our Bone Soldier's chances. He's protected. And, there's a couple of Bullet Club members in this tournament, right? But if you're talking about savages and guys that who can just beat up other dudes and want to reset this Bullet Club image that Dave Finlay has, Taiji Ishimori is right up there. I think he has sneaky good chances because he's protected. He's been protected for months at this point. And I don't think I think it's by design and not by mistake. Hey, Will Gray, nice to see you and welcome. It's very nice to see you. Leo Rush is also someone to look out for here. Because listen, Leo Rush, fired up, inspired, seems to have his groove back. Coming off of an excellent match with Hiromu Takahashi just a month ago. His matches are likely going to be excellent. I think that he's going to deliver and over-deliver every time. I think he's going to be a delight in this tournament. I've said multiple times that as a pro wrestling fan, we are better off having Leo Rush wrestling than not. I've always been disappointed around the retirement talk and all of that. I know he's had his ups and downs, and I know a lot of people got annoyed at that. But the facts are, plain and simple, since starting up wrestling for New Japan, this guy has been reinvigorated. You can tell. His tag team with Sho reinvigorated him. He is on a whole other tear right now. And I think it's going to come across fantastically. I think he's going to be a highlight of the juniors this year, of the Best of Super Juniors this year. I think a newly minted junior tag champ in Kushida could mean that he and Kevin Knight, for that matter, might have a good tournament. Up until their win, I had in the back of my mind, I was saying, okay, well, Kevin Knight, he's going to have a good little tournament. He's going to put on some great matches. He's going to have some time to shine, but I think he's going to be a pin eater. I think he's going to, because he's young, he's still very green. And again, I can't say it enough. The Mr. WarrenHayes Show is a place where we openly appreciate Kevin Knight. Not that we have to hide behind anything, but Kevin Knight is special. He has tremendous upside. Tremendous upside. This kid is going to have a brilliant future. Not a lot of the guys out of the LA dojo have been cherry picked to be in these types of positions. So we've got Clark Connors here, sure, okay, but Kevin Knight has been in a prime position for a few months now, and I think we're going to continue down that lane. So, like I said, I'm not slating him as a winner, but I think he's going to have a better tournament than I originally expected because of the fact that he's a current champion in the junior division. Same goes for Kushida. Where I thought Kushida was going to also eat a significant lot of pins here, but maybe not as much, maybe Dan Maloney, I like, don't get me wrong, but I think he might end up with that role. I think he might be the guy who ends up with, a donut at the end of the tournament, which is fine. He's the guy who will be introduced to in this tournament. Not a lot of people know who he is. He'll have the affiliation with the United Empire to give him already a bit of a backstory, some backup. But I think he might be the guy who ends up, at least on B side, right, to eat a lot of pins. On Bushi, is also a guy who's going to be a pin eater as well. Titan on Block A, Doki, typical suspects, or are we going to flip this around? Are we going to start? Is Taguchi going to be one of those? And Doki is going to have a great tournament. Again, Gedo is in a bit of a mood to surprise and shock us and flip things around. So I wouldn't be surprised that when we talk about this next week already, I'm throwing everything out the window. I'm like, look, what's the point of even trying to preview this? Gedo just did this, and that. So this is exciting stuff. I'm really looking forward to this. Too many fantastic pro wrestlers in this. And I don't mind the focus on New Japan this year. Why not focus on you? Well, Speedball is a brilliant addition, but no one feels forced here. Everyone feels like they have a spot, like it's meaningful. Maybe Taguchi, you're like, okay. Yeah, I know. It's kind of like when they book Yujiro in the G1. You're like, really? Really? You know what he's there for, but you're like, man, couldn't we just have excellent matches from top to bottom? Maybe Taguchi's the only bummer. Ha! Bum. Who are my block winners, you ask? Let me tell you. I think Taiji Ishimori wins Block A. And Mike Bailey is in second. I think Mike Bailey is in second place. Block B, El Desperado, with Robbie Eagles coming in from behind. Haha, bum. Which would bring us to, as mentioned earlier, the winner of Block A then fights the second runner-up of Block B, and the winner of Block B fights the second runner-up of Block A. So that would mean Taiji Ishimori versus Robbie Eagles, which I'm completely here for, and El Desperado versus Mike Bailey, which I am completely here for. What are we even doing? I think the finals, if you're asking me, because I'm asking you not to sleep on Taiji Ishimori, I think we get El Desperado versus Taiji Ishimori in the finals of the Best of Super Juniors. And it is an absolute toss-up at this point. From a fan point of view, for going into Dominion, I think the better, more interesting, more compelling match is El Desperado versus Hiromu Takahashi. I think that's the one. Those two guys are magic. And I think there is a reason why Strong Style dropped the 6-man tag titles just before this tournament started. I think that might be an indication. I could also be so fucking wrong. But that's how I'm feeling it. I feel like El Desperado. Here. Yeah. El Desperado winning the Best of Super Juniors. Second place, Taiji Ishimori. You know who my dark pick is? TJP. I don't know how high Gedo is on him, but I'll tell you one thing. The Catch-22 run has absolutely reinvigorated my appreciation for TJP as a wrestler. And he is going to have... Can you think of the matches of how smooth TJP and Lio Rush is going to be? They're in the same block. TJP and Kushida, we saw a bit of that a couple of weeks ago. Get to know a one-on-one. Titan, no slouch. He might be a pin eater, but he's a good time. A TJP could be a sneaky dark horse pick. He's going to be mine to win the whole thing. Little out of left field, but that's what a dark horse pick is, isn't it? Because again, maybe I'm reading a little too much into it. Maybe there's a reason why Gedo had Catch-22 drop the titles before this tournament. I don't know. Hard to say. But we'll see how things go. We'll be talking about this next week. We'll already have a few matches to review. It'll be exciting stuff. Get into it. This is going to rule. I'm convinced. Convinced it's going to be a fun as hell tournament. I'm excited for it. The juniors in New Japan lighten it up recently. I'm excited for it. And we're going to wrap up on that note, the weekly wrestling inspection. to grips with the idea that whenever I have shows where I review various shows, I just go along. I just have to come. I have to come to grips with that reality. It's just a thing. And are you going to stop me? No, because you love it, and I love you. But before we go out, I want to say hi to Floman, who left his 14-month membership milestone message. Thank you for your 14 months, Floman. I appreciate it. He says, couldn't chat earlier, but I loved your Jack reaction. What? If you ever are able, if you're listening to this on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes on demand right now, thank you very much. Consider leaving a like before you go. If you can ever join us live on our recordings every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, we start off the evening watching videos, usually bad cooking videos, and we have a good time. The dopes that think that they can cook out there, and we just point and laugh, and it's a good time. And Floman was able to provide us with some great content tonight. He suggested some great content for us to watch. So if you can ever make it live, it's a good time. I'd love to have you over. But thank you for watching on demand. Thank you for listening on your favorite podcast app as well. 5-star ratings on Spotify and 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts are always really appreciated as well. Join us in the Discord as well. Read my articles on voicesofwrestling.com. In the meantime, I hope everyone has a lovely, lovely rest of their week. I hope you enjoy all the Best of Super Juniors coming up. I hope you're excited for some big AEW. Don't forget, big AEW show this Wednesday. I'm excited to be excited about Dynamite this week. It's a good feeling. I should be excited about AEW. And this week it's a big show, which of course I'm going to be reviewing on Thursday. So you want to subscribe. You want to be around for that as well. But have a great rest of your week, everyone. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next time.